In this lesson, we continue with the rocker assembly, and let's make sure that's saved. We've already given it the name, the practice rocker assembly, and now under Window, go to Tile Horizontally. We don't need the engine rod, so let's close that down and drag the practice rocker assembly into the practice engine assembly. Close down the practice rocker assembly and maximize the engine. Now what we need to do is find out if we put this together properly. Drag it over here and place the bolt into this hole. So we're going to do that with Alt, drag on the bolt, put it in the hole, and then hit Tab to flip it over. Somehow we didn't pick up that mate, so we'll reapply that mate. Now I want to apply a mate between the top of the bolt and the top of the cylinder head, but I want to use a distance mate for that, and I want this to be 1.5 inches. Let's make it 2 inches. And then we need to edit one of the mates in the subassembly. So if we open up the subassembly, we find the distance mate that's in here, and let's change this to 0.7. Now we've got an overdefined situation here. Let's see what the problem is. Okay, it appears to be the coincident relationship, and let's get rid of that. And then it also appears we've got 2 concentrics here as well, so we'll delete this. You may not have these, it may just be me. Got that all squared away. Let's use the mate again and set this face of the rocker parallel to this face of the cylinder head. Make that parallel, green check to accept. Switch to the mechanical mates, click on cam. The cam itself is going to have 2 faces, so we'll click on here, and oh, it's going to have more than 2. It's going to have 4. And the cam follower will have a single face. Now this overdefines the assembly because it's not a flexible subassembly. Let's go back to the practice rocker. And if you just click on this, you don't have to right click on it. You can just left click. You can go to component properties right here in the pop-up toolbar. Set this to flexible and say OK. So that should take care of the overdefined situation there. And now the camshaft, even though it's not located side to side, will make the rocker go up and down. So let's locate the camshaft in there. Use a width mate, and we'll select on one end, select on the other end, and then the tab selections will be this and that. The next part that we need in here is going to be the valve stem. And it's just called the valve, so we'll pull that in, place it right here. And we also need the rocker spring, so let's pull that in as well. Let's put the rocker spring in place. Holding down Alt, we'll grab this edge and pull it in to the bottom of the hole and locate it. Next, and this might be a trick with the spring there already, but let's just use the mate tool to mate the cylindrical face of the valve into the hole. Let's just hide the engine block. We'll hide that component, and we'll go looking for our other valve part, which is down here in the cylinder. So we push that up. What we want to do here is mate together the end face of the valve and the top face of the spring, and then make a standard mate that's tangent between the roller and the top face of the spring. All right, well, this has backfired on me because the spring that I've put in is not actually flexible. In order to get motion to work here, I have to accommodate the spring in some way. So let's take a look at the mates that I have established for the spring. We look at the mates here. I've got coincident, coincident. Okay, this one is the one that's causing me some trouble. That warning that I got was correct, and now my motion should work. You can see we've got a little interference here, so our rocker could use a little bit of redesign possibly, but let's take a look at the rest of the motion. My engine block is hidden, so I'm just going to show it and make it transparent. I'm also going to take the cylinder head, and instead of showing that as shaded, I'll show that as a wireframe part. So now we can see all of our parts here. If you rotate the camshaft, you can see the rocker and the spring and the valve doing their thing. Now what we have to do is link together the camshaft to the drive shaft. And we'll do this using the gear constraint without having applied the actual parts for that. Getting a little impatient, you want to see your results here. Let's go to the mechanical mates, gear, select the two faces, the cylindrical face of the crankshaft and the cylindrical face of the camshaft. And we'll give those a ratio of 2 to 1. Remember, this is the gear relationship we had in the previous arrangement. So this should link the two parts of our engine, and all that remains after this is the detail of making sure the rest of the instances all go together. And so here we are with a functioning 6-cylinder engine, missing a few parts.